Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So aside from looking at the markets this morning, I want to look at how the US economy is really doing. There was an article yesterday on Zero Hedge about Donald Trump celebrating his 500th day in office. And this is what he said in his tweet. This is my 500th day in office, and we have accomplished a lot. Many believe more than any president in his first 500 days. And he goes on to say massive tax and regulation cuts, military and vets, lower crime and illegal immigration, stronger borders, judgeships, best economy and jobs ever, and much more. And I'm going to focus on the economy, of course, and I'm going to show you, and I'm not trying to discredit anyone politically. I'm just trying to show that Donald Trump is just another quarterback. Obama was a quarterback. Bush Jr. was a quarterback. Clinton was a quarterback. And who are they quarterbacking for? Well, they're quarterbacking for the Federal Reserve, the people in charge of the money. And why do I say that? Why do I think Trump's still quarterbacking for the money powers? Well, because he's said nothing about the Federal Reserve, hasn't criticized the Federal Reserve. The only thing he's done is really change the management of the Federal Reserve. He's put in another guy instead of Janet Yellen, but he hasn't really come out and criticized the institution. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'll look at the data, compare it to the years before quarterback Trump, to quarterback Obama, and even quarterback Bush, and show you that very little has changed. Just facts and numbers. So before I do that, I'll look quickly at the markets this morning. It's 8:40 a.m. here in London. Gold's still stuck here in, between 1290 and basically just under 1300. We're at 1291.20. Down $0.75, not much, basically unchanged. Range has been 1290 to 1294. Silver, it's at 1638, down 2 cents. Range has been 1637 to 1647. The Dow is unchanged right now, actually down 2 points, 24,800. S&P future actually virtually unchanged, 2746. The NASDAQ 100 future is only up 2 points. So very quiet market so far, not much movement. Currencies as well. Sterling is only up 10 pips, 133.21. The euro is down 7 pips, and the dollar is only up 2 pips against the yen. So very quiet here early on. And so now about quarterback Trump. Is he doing really a better job than quarterback Obama? And actually, I'm apolitical. I'm not for Trump. I'm not for any politician. The only politician that I give the light of the day to would be Ron Paul. Because what does Ron Paul want to do? He wants to shrink government. He wants to bring the American empire back home. He wants to go back to the Constitution, limited government, power of the individual. He wants to abolish the central bank, which is not a constitutional institution. It's a hybrid between government and private interests. So let's look at the data then. The one I want to look at is the unemployment rate, because Trump has said that they've got the best jobs ever, best economy ever. Yeah, and this unemployment rate did drop below 4%. It's at 3.8. But if you look back here on this chart from tradingeconomics.com, you go back in the 60s and also in the early 70s, it has been lower. So it's not the best unemployment rate ever. That's the first thing I wanted to note. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the amount of people that are out of the labor force, because don't forget, this unemployment rate only counts the number of people that are looking for jobs. People who are not looking anymore and who are discouraged, they're not part of that. So let's look here. What's really happening in the labor force. And this is from June 1st, just on Friday when the numbers came out, U.S. jobs data, and it's from Zero Hedge, Tyler Durden. Record 95.9 million Americans are no longer in the labor force. And he goes on to say, in what was otherwise a solid jobs report, one which Donald Trump may or may not have leaked in advance, in which the establishment survey reported that the higher than exceeded 223,000 jobs were added at a time when numbers below 200,000 are expected for an economy that is allegedly without slack. The biggest surprise was not in the establishment survey, but the household, where the unemployment rate tumbled once more to a new 18-year low of 3.8%, even as the participation rate declined once again as a result of a stagnant labor force, which was virtually unchanged at 161.5 million in May. And it goes on to say, what was perhaps more interesting, however, is that for all the talk that the slack in the labor force is set to decline, precisely the opposite is taking place, because in May, the number of people not in the labor force increased by another 170,000 to 95.915 million, new all-time high. So there you go. Is that a really great labor market? And the other thing I would note from this chart of the unemployment rate, yes, it's below 4%, but look at during the quarterback Obama administration, it came down sharply. And I think, quarterback Trump has come onto the field, but he's just taken the ball from Obama and has just continued it. So is he really doing a great job on the jobs front? Yeah, but he's just doing what Obama had been doing for the last few years. The other thing I wanted to talk about is shadow stats, because when President or quarterback Trump was campaigning, he said that the stock market was the mother of all bubbles, and it was around, 17, 18,000. The Dow now is at 25, 24,000, but he doesn't say anything. And the same thing with the statistics. He used to criticize the statistics, and that's why we need to look at shadow stats. And I'll put a link below in the description to shadowstats.com. I used to subscribe to Shadow Stats, but I don't anymore. You might want to do it. It's not cheap, I guess. It's $175 a year. You need to see if you really need that, or $89 per month. So what is Shadow Stats newsletter? It says John Williams Shadow Government Statistics is an electronic newsletter service that exposes and analyzes flaw in current U.S. government data and reporting, as well as in certain private sector numbers, and it provides an assessment of underlying economic and financial conditions, net of financial market and political hype. So the most interesting one that I wanted to show you of his charts is the alternate unemployment charts. So the Shadow Stats unemployment rate is the blue line, and you can see it's still above 20%. We've got the official U3, which is the one Trump talks about and Obama talked about as well. And then you've got the broadest U6, which is, probably around 7.5, 8. I haven't looked at it exactly. So what does John Williams say about this alternate unemployment charts? It says, the seasonally adjusted SGS alternate unemployment rate reflects current unemployment reporting methodology adjusted for SGS estimated long-term discouraged workers who were defined out of existence in 1994 under quarterback Clinton. The estimate is added to the BLS estimate of U6 unemployment, which includes short-term discouraged workers. The U3 unemployment rate is the monthly headline number. The U6 unemployment rate is the BLS broadest unemployment measure, including short-term discouraged workers and other marginally attached workers, as well as those forced to work part-time because they cannot find full-time employment. So there you go. The shadow stats unemployment rate is the one that they used to use prior to 1994, prior to quarterback Clinton, as I said. So are things really going well in the U.S. economy? I don't think so. What I think is happening, as I said earlier, the bankers, the central bank is still in charge. The old saying from the 19th century, and I keep repeating this, by Mr. Rothschild, Meyer Emschel, is give me control of the money supply and I care not who makes the laws. I'll pick the quarterback, right? So that's still going on. And how do we solve that problem? You might be asking. Well, you go back to constitutional money. Have I heard Donald Trump talk about constitutional money? No. I think that would make America great, not what we're doing now. And some people might argue, give him a chance, he's getting rid of the swamp. Well, Hillary Clinton's still walking the world a free woman. He used to say, he was going to lock her up, or his supporters chanted it, and he used to go like this and yes, and he used to encourage them. So she's still around. Wouldn't the best way to drain the swamp is to go back to constitutional money and cut the funding of this military, industrial, financial complex? I think so. So what does the U.S. Constitution say about money? Well, we need to go to Article 1, Section 8, powers of Congress. And one of them is to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard weights and measures. So when they say coin money, they don't mean printing paper money. They mean coin money. And the easiest way to understand that is to look later on at the Coinage Act of 1792, which came out after the Constitution. And what does the Coinage Act of 1792 says? And it's not about Federal Reserve notes. It's about coins. And it basically says that what the unit of the dollar is going to be. So here we go. The Coinage Act, or the Mint Act, passed by the United States Congress on April 2nd, 1792, created the United States dollar as the country's standard unit of money, established the United States Mint, and regulated the coinage of the United States according to the Constitution. So what does it say here that the coinage should be? Well, it says a dollar is 371 4/16 grain of pure silver. And then they also brought in gold and said, this is what $10 is going to be. An eagles, $10, 247 4/8 grain of pure standard gold. Excuse me. So there you go. The other interesting point about the Coinage Act is Section 14. And it says, under Section 14, any person could bring gold and silver bullion and have it coined free of charge, or later for a small fee, exchange it immediately for an equivalent value of coin. The paragraph summary states, and I quote, persons may bring gold and silver bullion to be coined free of expense. So that's what the bankers didn't like, that the Americans would have the power to coin their own money, take the gold bullion or silver bullion to their local mint and have it coined for free. Later, of course, there's a seigniorage, a small amount that they had to take to finance the operations of the mint. And the first mint, of course, was at the capital of the United States, which was at the time Philadelphia. So that's, and there's no mint mark on the Philadelphia coins because that was the only mint at the time. And then they opened other mints, and that's what it's all about. So President Trump, you might be doing things that you think will eventually allow you to bring constitutional money back to America, stop the debt bubble we've had since the closing of the gold window, but do something, you know, just don't, I haven't heard you talk about ending the Fed and bringing back constitutional money. So show us the people's money, quarterback Trump. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and that's the real state of the U.S. economy. And I think everything else, politically, geopolitically, is a big distraction. You need to try to get out of the system that encourages people to take more and more debt. That's the banker system. That's the Federal Reserve system. And unfortunately, quarterback Trump is still cheerleading for that system. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. And I also accept donations. There's some links below in the description. And thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.